Just finished up the back session in the garage. Saturday morning, we're still pushing it. Got back from holidays last week and it just completely destroyed me. Like the comforts, the foods and everything that I had. But there's one thing that always made me reflect, and that was whether I'm gonna sacrifice this time, sacrifice pleasures, sacrifice these comforts to become the man that I desire to become. From a younger age, I always wanted to be a professional in some sport. I had this idea when I was 12 to be a professional footballer. I literally used to play around in the garden thinking I was Messi. Like I was literally in that mindset when I was younger. But over the years, my desires and comforts, they took over. I went into music production and lived a very comfortable lifestyle. Everything was handed to me. Everything was handed to me. Everything. But I always had that desire to change. I always had the desire to be in the best shape, to have confidence, to be disciplined. That desire was always in my heart from a young kid. But I never really aligned with that. And my lifestyle didn't align with that. Nothing truly aligned with it. And the more stuff I was handed, the more that everything was easy, the less I could fulfill the desire in my heart to actually pursue what I truly wanted. Like nearly all my life, I've literally just been trying to push myself to get better physically, to get better mentally. And through all of that, like, genuinely everything just been relying on God for everything, on Christ. And it's been a difficult journey for the past 4 years where I went from a state of just complete comfort, a full validation from music because I used to do music production. I had a very comfortable lifestyle and I didn't have to expect much of the day. I never had to like wake up and make things work. I never was forced to push myself. Everything was basically handed over to me, but that really conflicted with the desire in my heart for who I wanted to be, for the change I wanted to make. I struggled with that for many years because I thought to myself that I had to be this person which I was perceived as, or do things because I did them as a younger kid, do music all my life because that was just a part of my life. Even though I had that desire in my heart of just being completely disciplined, being in great shape, and actually living like the structured lifestyle and actually pursuing something big, having to push myself, having to be strengthened through the struggle. Like, genuinely, it literally conflicted with me, and it was like a war in my mind between the man that I wanted to become and the person who I was. And I come to realize that the only barrier was genuinely me. I was the only barrier to pursuing the life that I wanted, to pursuing the lifestyle that I wanted, to actually getting into the best shape that I can, to completely changing my lifestyle with structure, to being disciplined in what I truly loved, just doing boxing, doing the sport. And that's just been the way for the past 2 to 3 years. It's really been pushing me. And there's so much things that I've learned throughout the journey that I'm very grateful for. God has taught me so much stuff throughout this journey where I genuinely, all I could was rely on God. All I could was rely on Christ. Because I couldn't see a way out for myself. Because all I thought was that what I was for years, that was who I was going to be for the rest of my life. I was going to be this music producer and I was going to live this life which I was perceived to live. I thought that desire in my heart was just a random thing. It was just something that was something that came from an inspiration. But truly it always conflicted in my heart for years. Until I actually gave up my old lifestyle, until I actually gave up the things that I was so adapted to. It literally tore away that old identity. And since then, everything's just been a progression every single day. Every single day I wake up, it's just relying on God, relying on Christ, our Lord and Savior. And it's not easier because where do you think you're going to get if you truly pursue that burning desire in your heart to actually change, to be successful, and you leave the old lifestyle which you was meant to live, the person which you were meant to be? Where do you see that light? Because back then when I used to do music production and all this stuff, I had my entire life thought out for myself. I had the connections. I saw the way. But the thing was that there was truly no questioning. There was no, is this really going to happen? Am I really going to get there? There was no faith. There was no faith because everything was handed to me. Everything was just certain. And it never made my life any much adventurous, so I couldn't really learn, or I never really grew. I never really gained the confidence for anything because I was so comfortable and adapted to my old lifestyle. Until I just started to do the things which I thought I couldn't do. I pursued my first boxing match. I started working on the construction site, which pushes me crazy, like physically, and there's so much just struggles through that as well. But I'm so grateful for that. More grateful than the times of just being in comfort every single day. I'm more grateful for that. 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I left university. I left just a lifestyle of comfort, a lifestyle of not having to worry about anything, responsibilities. But I thought to myself, this is not who I am meant to be as a man. That comfort, that convenience, the comparisons and everything cause us to have these emotions that are completely deceitful, that blind us of who we can truly become, of who we can truly be. It all can start off with the foundation of having the vision of what you want to look like, of what you want to feel like day to day, of the confidence that you want to have. And then it begins with taking the action to stepping out of the comfort zone, to stepping out of what you're always used to. And it's going to leave you in a state of fear. It's going to leave you in a state of doubt, in a state of discouragement. But you always devote that state to God. You always devote that state to Christ. And He will give you the strength. He will give you the desires in your heart. And then He will lead you on the path to the light, because He is the light. He will lead you on the path to the light. When you step out from that comfortable zone and you're in that darkness of you don't even know where to go anymore, all you can do is rely on God. And He will give you the strength. He will give you the courage to keep going on, because there is a light. If there are solutions to problems, then there is always a solution to whatever is going on in your life, to whatever you want to go to next, to whatever destination you have. There is always a path. There's always a way towards a destination. But we could be stuck in one location for so long because we blind ourselves and we believe this elusive thought that there is no way out, and this is who we're going to be for the rest of our lives. This is who we're going to stay. Maybe you're out of shape. Maybe you don't feel too much confidence. Maybe you're not even disciplined. Maybe you don't have too much energy because just your lifestyle is just completely in chaos. And you think this is just the way life is supposed to be. Maybe you have a desire to become something, but because you've been perceived as something all your life, this is who you're meant to be. But that's completely false. That's completely false. The way people see you, the way you think you see yourself is a complete deception, because it's all based on an emotion. But God only works in truth. God only works in truth. God only works in truth, and He brings the truth to light. If you genuinely have a desire to change, if you genuinely have a desire to be stronger, to be a leader, to be a servant, if you genuinely have a desire to build something big, to build yourself, to pursue something that you've always desired and to fulfill that purpose and to glorify God through it, then what is truly stopping you? The only thing that's stopping you is yourself, and is the emotions that you feel that are a complete deception. They're a complete deception. They are a complete deception. Because when you put yourself through a struggle, whether that's through training, whether that's through getting up early in the morning, or just being by yourself and not being distracted by anything that's giving you dopamine rush or anything that's blinding you, you truly realize your own self, you realize your own desires, you realize your own thoughts, you realize what you truly want, what you truly want to pursue. If you sat down and you imagine what type of life you wanted, it wouldn't be a life of comfort. It wouldn't be a life of stagnance. It wouldn't be a life of fear. It wouldn't be a life of anxiety. It wouldn't be a life of doubt, but it would be a life where even in that darkness, you know that there's a light. Where even in that darkness, you know that you will smile because God will give you the courage, God will give you the confidence, and God will uplift you. Because all you can truly do in that darkness is rely on Him. All you can truly do in that darkness is to believe that there is the light. That comes through Christ. That comes through Christ. And within the physical struggles, within the struggles of discipline, you are built. Your mindset is being built. Your body is being built. And you are completely tearing away the old identity. You are completely tearing away the weakness. You are completely tearing away that person who just lived by the elusive desires, who lived by the elusive thoughts, by these elusive emotions. We can be so stuck in that dirt for so long, thinking that that is where we're going to stay. But that is not the truth. It's not the truth. It's a complete deception. It's a complete deception. If I look back at my life, I was just, at the age of 17, I was completely just skinny fat. I didn't have confidence. You know what? I couldn't even speak to people properly. I literally had the difficulty of speaking like socially. And I always wanted to pursue something big. Like I wanted to do boxing. I wanted to get into the best shape. I wanted to be disciplined. I wanted to live this lifestyle of just discipline, of just being the man that I desired to become. But because I lived the lifestyle of comfort for so many years, I thought that that was who I was meant to be. And every time I stepped out, I had this fear of, this is not probably who I am. Every time I went to the boxing gym and I saw all these people training and they're in complete like crazy shape and they're just disciplined, I thought that's probably not me. They were born like that. But that was just a complete deception of my emotion. That was just a complete deception because I thought that the perception of myself was the true perception. But when I genuinely stepped out of that comfort zone and I put myself to the same struggle as the other people, I realized that that was not the truth. Because when you put yourself into physical training, when you put yourself into physical, through the physical refinement, when you put yourself through the discipline of structure, the discipline of the day, fulfilling each promise that you set yourself, it builds that confidence within you, knowing that you can change. It builds that confidence within you, knowing that you are not the person who you think you are. And you're never going to stay that person if you genuinely change those actions, which that person always adapted to. Because your identity changes through actions. And once your actions changes, your belief system changes about yourself. When I started to put in the work with training, when I started to get up early in the morning, when I started to work on the construction site, the most difficult part was the beginning, because I was so disconnected from that I thought that was not me. I could not be a young man just working hard and pushing myself through all this. If I lived a comfortable lifestyle, I wasn't in the great shape all my life. The only true barrier is yourself. The only true barrier is yourself. If I could go from a complete overweight, skinny fat, lack of confidence, undisciplined individual, then to just getting into shape, pursuing my first match, working on the construction site, genuinely pushing myself day to day, and I feel this joy in my heart from it, even though I'm not yet where I want to be, then you can genuinely change, because it is first the internal change that you must make in order to see the external reflect. It is first the internal change that you need to make in order for the external to reflect. Because everything that is on the outside is a reflection of what's on the inside, of what you do, of your habits, of your actions, of your decisions. Once I changed my decisions with what I ate, with the times that I woke up, with how much times I trained throughout the week, my physique started to change, my mindset started to change, my perception of things started to change, and life started to completely change. I started to shift from the identity of weakness and a lack of belief to being strengthened by the struggle, by the discipline. And there is, you know what, there's so much joy in the heart through stepping out of that old identity that you think you're meant to be. There is so much joy. Because our joy comes from the fact that there's always a light. Because if you've seen some type of transformation in your life, or if you've seen some type of progression in your life, you know that that progression will always happen throughout your life. And if that will always happen, that means you will always move forward and forward and forward. But when you're stuck into one place and you think you're never going to move forward, then your belief is correct. You're never going to move forward because you are blinded by the emotion in the moment. It is first taking yourself out through action. It is first taking yourself out through action. And that happens once we start to change the decisions. Once we start to change the things that we do, we start to change the people who we are. We start to change ourselves. Through our actions, we begin to change ourselves. And everyone can change their actions. Every single person can change their action. Even today, you can change your actions. You can change the next meal you're going to eat. You can change what you're going to do in the afternoon. You can change what you're going to do at night, whether you're going to plan your next day, whether you're going to structure your next day. You can change at what time you're going to wake up next day, whether you're going to be disciplined or you're going to be comfortable. You can completely change that. And if you change it, you will change yourself physically and mentally. You will change yourself. And the strength and the courage will come from God when you rely on Him within the uncertainty of who you're going to become. Because it is the battle of being stagnant and thinking that that is the certainty of your life, living this life of complete desolation and stagnance, versus stepping out of your comfort zone and not knowing whether things are certain, but all you can do is truly rely on God and push yourself through discipline, through the struggle, which will build you. Because you will never regret putting in the effort. You will never regret taking the right actions. We can definitely regret staying the same. You can definitely regret not putting in the work. You can only choose one. Either stay the same or make the change. You can change yourself physically. You can change yourself mentally. And you can pursue the things that you want. I want to pursue fighting. I want to coach other people. And I want to build an empire of men who are disciplined, of fighters. And that's what I'm here to do, to push other people. And it's only going to come if you change your actions and through the belief. And that applies the same for you.